Hello, my name is Janelle Cooper, and I'm the host of Take Time Thursdays here at the Smithsonian's Anacostia Community Museum. Take Time Thursdays with the Anacostia Museum gives participants a chance to take time for wellness, health, and creativity with artists, thought leaders, performers, wellness practitioners, and others. We're hoping that you would take a 30-minute break with us every other Thursday from 2:30 to 3 p.m. for your mind, body, and spirit. Today's topic is a quick introduction to investing with Christopher White. We're we're looking for other streams of incomes these days with everything being so uncertain right now. So this is a good way to do that. So if you're interested in investing and not really sure how to start, that's what today's session is to do. Christopher White is a counselor at Community Systems. He helps people with disabilities to find happiness in their home and in the community. In his spare time, Mr. White enjoys trading stocks and leads a stock investment group for friends and family, helping them to create other streams of income. Christopher has developed a passion for investing and has transformed his life in a fairly short period of time. He has learned to reap a profit. You must be willing to take a risk. Christopher is a third generation Washingtonian and currently resides in Prince George's County, Maryland. So I'm happy to introduce to you Christopher White. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey Janelle, how you doing?
I'm so glad you could join us today. When you told me all the great things that you're doing, I said, I got to bring you on Take Time Thursday to share some of this stuff with others. And so I will have my pen and pencil out today. How did you get into investing?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing me on and giving me this opportunity to share my story. And hopefully, from my story, I can inspire the viewers um, uh, to show them how to invest. I'm gonna give you all quick pointers. Two things I want to highlight in this slide right here before I get into my story. Um, uh, Quick tips, quick terms that you can use in investing. The first one is I want to talk about the shareholder. When you purchase a part of a company, you become a part ownership of a company. And also, I want to talk about dividend stocks. Dividend stocks are stocks that companies pay you when you become a part share owner of the company. So let me start my story. Um, uh, I started getting into investing because working, just working every day. I feel like, man, I wanted more streams of income, and I had some money saved in my bank account. And I went to my bank and I asked them, um, do y'all have any accounts where my money can grow at a higher interest rate than what it was at first? And they say they didn't have anything over 1%. I mean, less than a percent. So I'm like, man. So I had a friend I reached out to just to check up on, and he was saying how he was doing, and he said you should get the Robinhood app. And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know about that. I think it was like you can make money, but I really didn't take it serious. So I said, forget about it. So a few months later, they came back around. So ran into somebody else I know, and they talked about you should download the Robinhood app. So I said, okay, let me give it a shot. I downloaded the app. I just downloaded it. I put a few dollars in there, but I didn't invest in anything. I just kept it inside the app, and I didn't know what to invest in. I didn't know anything about investing. So one day, my girl, I told her that I was trying to get into investing, and one day she came home and said, "You should invest into this app. I mean, to this stock called Beyond Meat." I never knew what Beyond Meat was. I said, "Okay, what can I lose?" So I invested into Beyond Meat, and I went to work the next day, and I looked down at my phone, and in the span of 30 minutes, when I checked my investment, when I invested into the stock, I instantly made like $3,000 in 30 minutes. And that right there, that was the stock that really transformed my mind into like, whoa. So I went home the next day. I woke up overnight. I made another $3,000. And that's the first time in my life I ever made that much money and I didn't have to work for it. So by that, I just was so excited. I even checked out what Beyond Meat was. It's a plant-based substitute for meat. So it's a plant-based burger, and they have a lot of different products. And I begin to just like super excited. And as you can see on the screen, it shot up to at its peak at 234. I got in at like $45 at the time, and I made a lot of money. So it shot up to $200. Then I begin to it started dipping. It started going down, and it got down to like 190. Then I sold the company, and I made all that money. But what happened during that process, I thought every stock's supposed to do that. So after that, I began to invest in everything, just thinking I was going to get that same return. So next day I go to work, then I look at my phone, I see I'm losing money. I'm like, hold up, what is going on? This ain't what I'm looking for. So I continue to, I lost a lot of the money that I made. Um, Beyond Meat was just one of those stocks that did that, because it was the only stock on the stock market that that there was no competitor. There was the only one of a plant-based burger. So I said, man, I got discouraged. Then I stopped investing for a little bit. Then I began to tell myself, I began to tell myself, Chris, if you really want to learn how to invest in, you got to do research. You got to start looking at things. You got to start indulging yourself into this thing called the stock market. You really got to start looking at it. So I had to learn. I did research. I ran across a lot of different people during that time. I began to watch the CSNBC, as you can see on the screen. I was going to bookstores. I was looking at YouTube videos. I was doing a whole lot of different things to learn how to invest. CSNBC, I'm looking at the news channel every morning, like just figuring out what all this stuff means. And over time, I began to do research. Then that led me to, okay, I realized what to invest in. Stocks that I normally use, that I stand behind. Apple, I have a MacBook, I have an iPhone, Apple Watch. Netflix, we all like to, watch Netflix. I like, tennis shoes, Nike. I have a T-Mobile service. So things that I was always using, but I didn't know you can invest in. So I'm like, man, then I started realizing, okay, I'm getting the hang of this thing. During that process, I went back to my bank, and then I started making tons of money. Then I said, I went to my bank and I said, I have this amount of money. I think it was like, 10,000. I said, how can I make this 10,000 grow at a higher percentage rate? They said, we don't have nothing over a 1%. And I said, I should put my money into y'all stock. And the guy who I was speaking to, he just was quiet, because by me taking my money out their bank account, they don't have to use my money. They cannot use my money into investing into things that they like. So I'm like, I'm gonna take a portion of this money and I'm gonna put it into the stock of the company. And currently I am drawing a 6% rate off of the money I could have just kept in the bank and wasn't gonna draw no interest on. So I begin to just constantly learn and learn and learn. It's important when you're investing to invest in things that you familiar with, that you do it every time. Now to the point where if I'm going to certain stores, and I have certain shares within that company, if they say I'm about to, a cousin or a mother say I'm about to go buy somebody some shoes, I'm like, yeah, you need to go to Nike, because if that company wins, I win. So it's about transforming the mind and the way you think. So through that, I learned, doing my research, I learned dividend stocks. And dividend stocks are stocks that companies pay you for becoming a shareholder within the company. They pay you annually, quarterly, it depends on how they divvy up the money. But dividend stocks are so important. As you can see on the screen, Coca-Cola is a company that pays $1.68 per share, up from $1.64 of last year. But also realizing that not all stocks give dividends. So companies give dividends to shareholders who are enthused, so they can get enthused for you to come and join a company. and attract new investors. So those are things those are things that I realized through my research. You know, one thing I can not stress enough is research, research, research. Research will take you a long way in investing into the stock market, because it's not about what people say, it's about what you do on your own and do your research. During this time, I also realized it was beginning to be 2020 and the pandemic happened. And a lot of people were selling. When people were selling their shares, I began to buy, because I knew the stock market runs the world. So the stock market would never go anywhere. So doing my research and becoming seasoned in it, becoming more comfortable in investing, I began to, I bought a lot of shares. And when the pandemic kind of lifted a little bit, all my stocks that I invested in just risen up. And realizing that the more money you put in, the more return you can get back. So you can start investing with $5, $10. It's all about your comfortability. You know, what you familiar with. I always advise people, when you're investing, you know, invest money that you don't probably need day to day, your bills, your lights and everything, what have you, but invest money that you spend on miscellaneous stuff, you know, going out to eat all the time, you know, certain things that you may do that you don't even account for. Put that money into a stock that you are familiar with. That really helped me. So if I have money laying around, I'm like, I'm just about to add that. If a stock costs $100 per share and you only got 50, you can get partial share of that stock. You necessarily don't have to get a whole share. Until you can afford it, you can put as little as you can into that stock and into investing. So 1 second. The next thing I realized during this process, there are 11 different sectors in the stock market. These sectors I divvy up, as you can see the list right here. These sectors have a lot of different companies in there, are similar to each other. So it's like going to the grocery store. If you in the produce section, if you in the meat section, all the things are similar to one thing. And these, here are some examples of the sectors that's in the stock market. The technology sector is Microsoft, is Facebook. The healthcare is CVS and is Walgreens. So these is 11 different sectors. And the platforms that I use here are a multitude of platforms that I use. Robinhood, I personally use Robinhood and TD Ameritrade, but here are other ones that you can look into and try to figure out what's best for you. Now, any questions?
Can you go back to that slide again? Because I'm actually writing. The
Okay.
one with, yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Let it stay there for a minute because I'm actually, even myself, writing some of these down.
Okay. And these are a lot of these platforms help you. You know, Robinhood for me is very user friendly. It is very easy to navigate. Robinhood is an app for beginners. If you know, for investor, Stash is a company that actually any company you look for, they will find the sectors that is in and help you find certain stocks that interest you. So this one is definitely a good one to start investing.
Okay, thank you. All
Mhm.
right, so if anybody has any questions, okay, Jason asked, will this be recorded? Yes. So what we will do within the next couple of business days, 3 to 5 business days, is we will upload it to our YouTube page. And if you would like to know what that link will be, just send me an email, cooperjr@si.edu, and I'll send you the direct link to that. There's my email in the chat. How do you decide how much you can afford to risk on investments?
That's a personal decision. Well, like I said earlier, stocks are investing is your journey. This is my journey. The more you feel like you're comfortable in putting in the stock market, it's all up to you. I advise people do not spend your day-to-day money that you necessarily need every day for your rent. I mean, for things that you necessarily need. Spend money that you look like, okay, I want to put this over here and grow. Like, miscellaneous money. How many times you eat out? How many times you spend money on things you probably don't need? Put that into companies that you stand behind and say, okay, I'm gonna watch this grow. So through that, you can that's the comfortability that I advise to money you can put into the market. It's up to you. It's your personal decision. It's not, you don't have to put a lot, but once again, the more money you put in, the bigger your return will be. So that is very important when you invest into the stock market.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen now, Chris.
Hmm?
You can stop sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm sorry.
okay. So, what other platform? I'm assuming they mean other than the ones you mentioned. What other platforms do you use to invest?
So I use,
Is
like I
there
said,
anything besides apps? Is there another way that you can get into it that you are familiar with but may maybe have or have not tried?
Uh, no, those are it's so many. You just have to do your research. Those are the main ones that I particularly use. So it is so many different apps you can use um to start investing. But Robinhood is a very popular one that
Because
most
it's
people,
easy.
it's easy
It's
to navigate because when you start getting into other apps, they are very difficult. It's more advanced. So it's not as easy to navigate. Um, so yeah.
How did you choose the platforms you liked? I guess that was it. What was the
Yeah, that was one.
criteria?
So,
That was it.
well,
The easiest ones to understand.
yeah, but
Oh, somebody said Charles Schwab is another one.
yes.
Okay, that's good.
Hmm.
Um, People don't really go to brokers anymore. You now have control over your own money.
Yep.
Somebody asked, what about Cash App? That's
That's
just
one too. But that is I found that out by somebody. You can actually use Cash App to invest. So Cash App is normally to exchange money from people to individual to individual, but also the interface shows you that you can invest money into the stock market as well through Cash App. Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay. But I've also heard about people's Cash App accounts being hacked.
Well, yeah,
Um,
I personally, I do not use Cash App for investing. I use stuff that's, yes, Cash App is just things that,
I
you
think
know,
there's some kinks that they need to work out.
yes, yeah, that's not,
Not
that's
to
the,
say that they're not a good platform, but I just think there's some security measures they might need to add because I've heard it from at least 5 people.
mhm.
Um, all right, why again are dividends beneficial?
Dividends are so beneficial because the company pay you. The stock can be doing good, it can be not doing so good, but companies pay you a portion of money to you every quarter based on you having the stock. That is so important because you can get that money and just put it in your account. And while you holding that share, that is so important. They just pay you by you holding a share. That's why they pay you so they can keep you on to keep you being a shareholder of their company. So a lot of companies don't do that. So companies like Apple's, for instance, they pay you. Apple was actually down recently, and they still pay you a percentage in dividends by you just holding the company. So the benefit of having a company like AT&T, for instance, is another one where they haven't been doing well lately, but they still pay you quarterly, every 3 months, every 6 months. It depends on how the company give that money up to you. So the longer you have it, they just pay you every year by having their stock. So that's the
Okay.
benefit of it. They just pay you.
Okay. And then you said not all companies offer that, but obviously most of the bigger companies like McDonald's,
Yes, the things I
you know,
listed, yes.
yeah, Apple and those big
Mhm. And
companies are
it's
the
many
ones.
more. It's many more companies out here. You just got to do your research. It's many companies out here that pay you just for holding they stock.
Mhm.
So that's
Um,
beneficial. That's
do you
definitely beneficial.
now somebody asked about this, but uh-oh, what did I do? Okay. Somebody asked about kids investing. I actually did see
Ooh,
on
oh,
the local
great
news.
question. Great question,
It
Janelle.
was, I saw on the
So,
local news it was a little boy who like he liked Nike shoes
mhm.
and his
I,
mother
s-
gave
I
him some
seen
money
that.
for his birthday
I seen
and
that.
he took
Absolutely.
his birthday money and
Yes.
invested it in Nike and
Yes.
he became like I think he put in there like
Yeah.
$500 or
Mhm.
something
And that
and he
boy
flipped
also
it to
had
like 30,000 or
1,000.
something.
Yep. The more
Yeah.
he had, he began to, you see all the shoes he had because he became part owner of that company. See, when you become part owner, your mindset changes from becoming a consumer and becoming part owner. So everything I'm invested into, whoever I'm around, hey, go get some of that because if that company do good, you do good. So it's important when I mentioned the Beyond Meat, when that came onto the IPO in 2019, I
What's an
got,
IPO?
oh, good question. I'm sorry, I ran through my slides so fast. I'm sorry, but the IPO is initial public offering. That
Initial.
stands for, that's pretty much the stock market. So most companies are, um, most companies that you see, they is on the stock market. Some private companies are not on the stock market, like Chick-fil-A, the NBA, most companies that private sectors, they may not be on the stock market, but companies get on the stock market so the public can put money on them to help them grow. So I mean, I'm sorry, the public can help them grow by investing into their company. So the question, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Kids.
Oh, kids. It's important to start early because when the companies get onto the stock market early, you have a better chance at investing more money into the stock market. I mean, to that company because they may start out when they get onto the IPO. Like I said, Beyond Meat started out at $25. That is so you can buy so many shares at $25. I put an example of if you buy 10 shares at 250, I mean, 10
At
shares at
25.
25, that's $250. And when it peaked at 234, you would have made easily 200, I mean, sorry, 2000, 2000 over $2,000. So it's important to get into companies early when they get onto the stock market. But you got to see what that company is and identify that because so yeah, so it's early you get in, the more money you can make, and also knowing the company that you're investing into. So yeah, it's definitely good. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. For instance, Amazon. We all got Amazon. Amazon in 1997. If you would have got in for $1,000, you would have you would have had $2 million right now. So now they is well over 3,000. Amazon is currently over $3,000, and a lot of people can't divvy up $3,000 for one share. So it's important to get in these companies early, but you got to identify what they are before you get into them. So
So you cannot stress enough
research, but the earlier you get in a certain company, the lower the price is, the more money you can make. So to answer that question, yes.
We got a couple of questions and very little bit of time. So I guess we kind of answered that kids can get involved. I think it's a good thing to teach your kids.
Yes.
Have them follow people like the ones that we said was at Aristotle underscore investments on IG
Yes.
and
Aristotle.
at Ricky Gutierrez.
Yes. Ricky
Um,
Gutierrez, he got a video online that is called A Day in the Life. You can check it out on YouTube.
and
It's a
I posted it earlier in the chat so you guys can copy it.
yeah. I mean, easily send this PowerPoint out if y'all just wanted to see that.
Yeah, for those who contact me, if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, I'll send it to you if you're willing to release it, Chris. And but also the link,
Yeah.
that if you want to share this information with other people.
Ricky, he's a person who built himself up. I really studied him a lot because I'm like, this dude's 24 years old and he don't work a 9 to 5. He's making $6 to $8 million a year just off the stock market. And I'm like, wow. So they showed a side-by-side video of one person who was doing Uber every day. And about the span of 8 hours, the guy only made $50. And Ricky, on the other hand, in his videos, he made $11,000 by eating at Chipotle with his friend. And that just transformed my mind. You can't exchange time for money. we got to punch the clock every single day to get money. But when you start changing your format of say how other ways I can make money besides going into work, then your thought process will change. So
We have a lot more questions, but are you willing to share your email address in case people have questions?
yes, if you
They
have
want
any,
to follow up. Can you type it in the chat for everyone, to everyone? Okay.
absolutely.
And one of the things that we talked about in preparing for this Take Time Thursday is that we said that everybody's stories are not going to be the same.
Same, yeah.
Everybody's levels of comfortability in terms of, you got to crawl before you walk. It's easy to kind of dip your toe in the water first and then do your research before you get involved in it. And if you see something going, you see a trend, and you get more confident, then your comfortability levels will increase, and you'll be able to invest more money and feel a little bit more comfortable about your decision. So I think that was an important thing. And then
What
also surround yourself with people that are doing this. Like, you can't be the brightest star in the bunch.
I
You have to have people in your circle that are
piggyback on
pouring into you.
piggyback on that, Janelle. I was alone when I first started the journey. It was just me. I used to tell coworkers, they're like, "Man, you losing money? Why you doing that?" And I'm like, "Man, like, nah, I'm really doing something." They ain't want to hear it. Family members like, "Nah." And as along my journey, you begin to see people. The more and the more you put the energy out there you want, the more and more you get it back. So I believe that networking is so important to the growth because people share information, and it's like, oh, okay, now I'll look into that. So that helped me also. I have a friend who she was a barber, and I started talking to her, and she was actually looking about investing, and I told her, start giving her information to the point where she quit her job and become just investor, just by saying, wow, I can really do this. And she made some gains. And then to the point where she don't work. She do this full time. So it's you'll be surprised. People accounts, they don't work no 9 to 5. They invest every single day and live the life that they truly want. I mean, I'm not at that point yet. So I mean, but yeah.
So to give us, it's Chris A. White, because it didn't go through. It only went to panelists. Chris A. White, what's the number?
1986 at Yahoo.
1986 at
Yeah.
Yahoo. I couldn't remember it. There you go. To everyone. Chris, listen, you've given us a lot of great pointers. It was wonderful to hear your story and your transformation. We're going to bring you back because one of the things I know about you is that you're a great encourager. You're not willing to just go by yourself. You're willing to reach your hand back and bring others with you. And I think that's important, especially during this time, that we empower others to be the best that they can be.
Yes.
But I always say, if you want to hike in the highest mountains, and you hang around people that are doing it so you can learn from them.
Yeah.
Let the crumbs fall on your table so that you can begin to build from that.
Yeah.
And if like I said, if you're the brightest one in the bunch, then you need to get a new bunch.
Yeah.
You can't always be on top.
Be around people who can uplift you.
That's right.
It's important to, have positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
nah.
I agree. Well, listen, you've given us so much. People are hungry for more information. Obviously,
there's a lot of stuff
people
going
are
on out
people
here.
are really looking at their finance. I've heard so many times, to be wealthy in this country, you have to have at least 6 streams of income.
Yeah.
So I got a couple incomes I need to add to my belt. And this is the way I think I might get into it. So thank you so much for pouring. We are out of time. And I just want to thank you for everything that you've shared. Last thoughts before we close out?
Last thoughts is investing has transformed my way of thinking about making money. Like you spoke about, Janelle, it's multiple ways to make income outside of working a 9 to 5, exchanging your time for money. And when you start realizing that and realizing, okay, what am I doing with my money? Am I really putting my money where it can be useful opposed to just not? So I encourage people to if you want to get into investing, do your research, be around people who can support your dreams, and just research and be around people who can uplift you and take you to the next level. So that's the encouraging words I can give today. And like she said, we don't got a lot of time. I wish I could really talk about it in depth more.
Well, we
But
appreciate for those who have hung out with us a few extra minutes, but we thank you again, Chris. Thank you for just sharing a couple of nuggets,
yeah,
to get us started. So thanks again. We'll bring you back on the show. Thank you for everybody for joining Take Time Thursday. We have on I think it's the 19th, we're bringing back David Hammett, who will continue to encourage us in song, encouragement for the soul, session 2. So I hope you guys will register. Look on our website at acm.si.edu/events and see all the wonderful things that we have going on. Just to let you know, the museum reopens tomorrow, y'all. Tomorrow we have new hours for the foreseeable future. We're open Monday through Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please stop by the museum and see our latest exhibition, the indoor portion, of Food for the People, Eating and Activism in Greater Washington. So thank you. We hope you have a very pleasant afternoon and evening, and we'll see